We started the show talking about how much did the Browns actually like Kenny Pickett. And I'm reminding myself that when Mary Kay says the trio there involving Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry, they saw his workout and they liked what they saw. I'm trying to remember that they liked Kenny Pickett also, and then he's not here anymore.
Yeah, we can't just group them all together that they just love every quarterback that they see.
Yeah.
That's the new takeaway that we have with these guys, is that they just haven't met a quarterback that they don't like. Then this kind of helps us here.
Yeah, and this is what I need it to be. This is one of those, if I did the last segment under slight duress, slight protest, this is the one that I know we have to do. It would be malpractice as a show to dismiss what Mary Kay said, because, again, Mary Kay is reporting what she's heard from her sources.
Right.
So this is not Mary Kay saying she liked it. It's the team or people around the team saying this is what's happened. I don't know how much I can tolerate of Deshaun Watson this year. And it's not about Deshaun the person. It's about Deshaun the circumstance and what we have gone through together with Deshaun, and this idea, this value, this obsession with value that says, well, you got to find out what you have in Deshaun Watson before you go ahead and move on from him. To hell with that. I got 3 years of pretty definitive proof of what I got in Deshaun Watson. If you throw him out there on the field this year, I understand it. I will on a fundamental level. I will understand it. I will not like it, and it will be a waste of our time. And in the end, it's just going to piss everybody off.
Well, he'll be in the waste of our time part of the season. Like that's what that's going to have to be, because it'll be Flacco no longer in the photo, Dylan Gabriel no longer in the photo, and then them either telling you Shador's no longer in the photo or Shador wasn't ready to even enter the equation.
So I think that's maybe where the genesis of some of the frustration is, beyond just it's been really sucky for those 3 years with the weight of the Deshaun thing and all the allegations and all the infighting and all the things said about Cleveland and Clevelanders. When Clevelanders didn't trade for Deshaun Watson, these guys did. I still think there's a chance he'll be done next offseason. I'm praying that they'll be done.
I mean, it's basically impossible. I've laid out the numbers for you. It's basically... It's not going to happen. Like, the dead cap money attached to getting rid of Deshaun at any point up until March of 2027, when you do a pre-June 1st, it's impossible, Nick. It's a $167 million dead cap hit if you do it this offseason. It's not happening.
Okay.
It's not happening.
Yeah, do it. Don't care if it's impossible.
You can't do a $167 million dead cap hit.
You can wave your magic wand and do anything with it. Do it. Do it, whatever. Listen, I'm not going to play.
It helps if it's post June 1st, but then that makes it even still an $82 million cap hit.
Okay.
Then
take that haircut.
Also then limits you in 2026 to then being an $81 million dead cap hit if you try. Again, like, March 2027 is the first reasonable exit point that the Browns can have with Deshaun Watson.
There is no reasonable with moving on from Deshaun Watson. The only reasonable thing is Deshaun Watson never plays it down for the Cleveland Browns again.
Well, that's the part you can control. Again, like, if you're paying out his money and you're paying out what his salary is because you extended it and did it the way that you did it, the idea that Deshaun just gets to hang out in the background and you make these nice comments, he makes his nice videos, and never sees the field is probably it's the likeliest of likely scenarios that happens, because it benefits the Browns much more than it benefits Deshaun. But like, it's almost impossible to find a way that he's not on the roster, not on the team.
I like that you said almost, because that means you're telling me there's a chance.
I mean, but $167 million in dead cap money is not realistic.
Post June 1st.
Okay, fine. You want to cut it down to $82 million. It's
chef's kiss.
When you can just run out the clock with it, it's really, what's the difference?
The difference is, as long as he's under contract with the Cleveland Browns, there's a threat he'll play for the Cleveland Browns again, and it doesn't need to happen. It doesn't. It is needless. No, there is nothing he can do in a short amount of time that is suddenly going to change the perception of him around the NFL. So all you're going to be doing is pulling the scab off of that wound and reigniting it for every Clevelander. All you're going to do is starting a tremendous fight with your fans. It's going to piss everybody off. Like, even if he's just the backup. Oh, well, now Dylan, okay, so Joe's done. All right, Joe didn't do well enough. Now we moved on to Dylan. Well, Dylan got hurt, so it's Shador's turn. Well, Deshaun's going to be the backup. All right. Anytime you put him on the active roster, you've now went from, well, he's on the roster, there's a chance, he's on the payroll, there's a chance he can play hypothetically, to there's a definitive chance he's going to play, and good luck. This is needless. You do not need to do. There's no amount of Deshaun Watson that I can tolerate 0 wins this year. And B, somehow at the end of this, oh, hey, you got the number 1 pick. Cool, Rosie. I can tolerate the 10-win Russell Wilson bridge to nowhere season. Because I like Shedeur Sanders, and they like Dylan Gabriel, and that in some way they're guys you might position as the future beyond Joe Flacco. Cool. There's one thing I cannot tolerate. Every other scenario on this I can tolerate. Deshaun playing this year or being in a position to play this year or next or ever again, I cannot tolerate.
It'll be interesting to see how it goes down. Most teams you'd be like, well, you're never getting to 5 quarterbacks anyway, because Bailey Zappe's still ahead of him at this point. And most teams you'd say that, but we played 5 quarterbacks last year. So we can't even take that out of the equation. What happens if we do have a doomsday scenario and you're down to Bailey Zappe and then Deshaun Watson as the backup quarterback? Do they sign another quarterback?
Yeah, Dresser wins.
Just to make sure Dresser wins back in the equation.
Yeah, the real DW, some are calling.
The Armoire win is back in the equation.
And give them the number 4 too. Let's make it real personal.
I'll be curious to find out what they do because again, Stefanski and Haslam and all these people involved. I told you yesterday about Haslam being at Deshaun's wedding. They still for some reason care deeply about Deshaun, and they're not being shy about caring deeply about Deshaun. So I just don't know that they have the same energy that you have or I have to never see him suit up.
Listen, when me say this, English, when I say this, it is not a personal thing. I am not speaking to Deshaun the human, because I'm past the point where I have to make that whatever the assessment there about how I feel about Deshaun. This is about Deshaun, the situation. And I think you are allowed to feel. I think to me it's an endearing sign that they don't allow the failure of that trade to impact how they treat the human being in terms of going to his wedding or how they treat him around the facility. That's the way a classy organization would do things. So I like to see that with the Cleveland Browns. It's also not the same thing as I'd like to see Deshaun Watson suit up for this organization ever again. I respect the approach that you are taking, which is, here's the situation, here's where the cap is, here's where you're laying out all the details.
Yeah.
I really do. I'm past that approach on this specific thing. I am logical, I am reasonable on many of the different things that they're going to do this year. I am to the point where, no, this is not we're just going to sit here and have our big thoughts and our big ideas and we're going to sit and talk rationally. No. No, this is the worst trade in NFL history, and there is no way to separate Deshaun, the person, from that. Right? What I mean by that is there's no way to separate how you feel about any of this between the Browns and him, between him and there is no value in getting him out there in any specific way or holding on to him through the 2026 season. That's just where I'm at. Where are you at with it?
No, I mean, there's nothing else they really could do right now. It's not defending the Browns, but it is taking their approach and looking at it. Once they extended out another season on that contract, there's nothing they could have done this offseason. It's not realistic. $167 million in dead money is just not something anybody can take on. And I know if your answer is I don't care, well, that's great, but it's not practical in the slightest bit. So my approach to it is I think they're actually handling this the right way. In signing Bailey Zappe and then having another quarterback in here, I think what they're telling everyone is publicly we are trying to play as nice as we can with Deshaun Watson while acknowledging that we're never going to get to a spot where Deshaun Watson actually sees the field. Have to go through 4 quarterbacks before you can even sniff that. And I think I don't know what other better approach they could possibly take after they find themselves so in deep with this. Now, if it was up to me, I wouldn't have put myself in this situation to begin with, but they have. And you can only respond to what they're trying to do since then. And since then, you can't just dog Deshaun Watson at every turn. It's not going to work that way. You have to give off the fronting face that you're giving him a chance. And then the hope is, if you're the Browns, that he ends up just injuring himself while rehabbing over and over and over again, the way that he injured himself for the first 3 years in a Browns uniform, and then you can collect some of the insurance payouts and you recoup some of the money in the long term.
So I think that the Browns have Bailey Zappe here for a purpose. I'm speaking to the idea, if they do think there's a way that they can get him on that field this year and that there will not be a significant reaction to it, they are wrong. no matter the contract. So I'm not just talking about like when you move on from him, that kind of stuff. Like, I'm saying that whatever value you think there is in him playing this year, if that is the intention, and by the way, certainly if it's before one of the young quarterbacks or both the young quarterbacks, if that is the intention, you need to think about this a lot more than you already are, because I don't care how you spin it, I don't care how logical you try to sound, it will not be met with logic back from the fans if you try to play him this year.
I just wonder if it's all smoke and mirrors, like that side of it, like the idea that, because if you look at their actions tell you they've just continued to sign quarterbacks. And maybe, I think why a lot of Browns fans are still like, oh, maybe we will see Deshaun this year, is only because it's only here where you could have a fifth string quarterback and be like, yeah, he might see the field, because we just watched 5 quarterbacks see the field last year.
216-474-0092. How much Deshaun Watson can you tolerate? So to me, I'm talking about on the field. All right, I'm talking about the football player. I'm not talking about the human being. I'm talking about the circus that has come with this, not the human being. I cannot tolerate any amount of him playing this year. I have no tolerance for it. I have no patience for it. You do not have to do it. Literally, you just don't have to do it this year in any way, shape, or form, even if you have to have him on the active roster, and then he's on the 53-man, and then you have him what Houston did for a full year. He's now inactive. Cool, do that, because he sees the field, and the bleep hits the fan. For you, how much can you tolerate?
I'm not where you're at. I'm not where you're at all. I don't feel like if he sees the field, then it's just because the season is gone anyway, and they're not competitive. If you're down to your 5th quarterback, it just is what it is. And so if he sees the final 3 games, I'm not going to be up in arms in it. The season's cooked anyway. They're trying to play for a number 1 overall pick more likely than not, and it just is what it is. In fact, I'll be curious. More than anything, I think my curiosity would peak into the idea that I know he's either injured or sucks, and I want to see exactly how bad it goes in those 3 games.
And what if he Lovie Smiths it? What if he's the guy that takes you from the 1st pick to the 5th pick?
Well, I think you got to figure that out very early on. If he ends up doing that, first off, that would be so Deshaun Watson if that were to happen.
It'd be so Cleveland Browns.
Where all of a sudden he ends up for the first time in 3 years looking like a competent quarterback and then being able to finish out and play games. And if he was to do that, and if he, I don't know, found some magic, then you know what's going to happen? People like Albert Breer, who came on here a couple weeks ago and suggested that he's the best quarterback on this roster when it comes to a talent ability, they're going to start wondering if he still does have some of that left in him.